Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. This is a show that changes your mind so you can change your community for the better. All right, well, good morning to you. And my name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. We also are on the Wacko Network, and we're also on Pundit Press Radio. So we are happy to be here this morning. This morning after Memorial Day, we hope that you had an important and poignant Memorial Day yesterday. You know, so often that this has turned into the unofficial beginning of summer. This has become the celebration of barbecue, when in fact it isn't. When in fact it's nothing like that. What it actually is a memorialization of those that gave everything so we can walk the streets, so we can fulfill our hopes and dreams. They gave everything so I can sit behind this microphone in my studio and talk to the young man that I'm about to have a conversation with here in a little bit. I wrote I'm going to do it my ambassador does. I wrote in my notes, and this may be a little over the top, but I don't think so. Today, two of the most feared black men in America have a conversation about her condition. Feared by the establishment types that benefit from the status quo, loathed by liberals that want to promote the false narrative of the left. My guest today is Rod Eccles. Rod Eccles is one of the most important voices in the conservative community, probably in the last 5 or 6 years, and I think probably will be one of the most important voices in the conservative community, in the American community, for the next 10 or 20 years and on into the future, because there are fewer people that have a clear understanding of where we are as a nation and where we are as a community than my friend Ron Eccles. Very few people have as clear an understanding and the ability to relate that to people than Rod. Rod has done well, I think, and I'm going to ask him. I think that we all kind of started here on Blog Talk Radio and has blossomed into a thriving show and a thriving way to reach people and touch people and inform people about the condition of the country, the condition of the black neighborhood, the black community, what's going on in the liberal left, what to watch for, and things that are important. Now, what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about a number of things. We're going to talk about, of course, the number of Republican candidates, just like we did with Brad Marston the other day. Who is fighting the conservatives? Who is going to be accepted by the conservatives? I think that's an interesting question. Of course, the rise of ISIS and the administration's response and whatever else Mr. Eccles has on his mind, because it's his mind that I'm interested in picking today, not my own. You know, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose, but you can pick their mind. Anyway, again, I want to have as much time as we can, so instead of playing the spots, I'm going to tell you that today's show is sponsored by my good friends at New Homes of Tampa Bay. New Homes of Tampa Bay. If you're looking for a new construction home, they can help you through the process and give you a $1,000 gift card at the end of the process for Lowe's, IKEA, or Home Depot. And it doesn't cost you a nickel. You can call my friend Gary at 818, and I forgot the number, and I'll get you the number later. But you can go to newhomestpa.com, newhomestpa.com. Damn it, I was doing so well, too. All right, listen, without further ado, because I'm all out of ados, I think he's already on. I'm going to bring on my friend Rod Eccles. Let's see if he's there, and if I press this button, will I bring down the Internet? Mr. Eccles, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, Willie. How are you?
I am well, sir. And how are you this glorious day?
I am well and doing fine, getting better.
I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. That's encouraging. Rod, listen. Am I wrong? Did you start your broadcast career here on lowly Blog Talk Radio back in the day?
Yes, I did. March 12th of 2009 was my first half-hour broadcast from BTR. And then I went to an hour. About a week later, it was an hour-long show. And then about 2 months later, it was 2 hours long. There was even a short period of time there I did a 3-hour show, but that just took an awful lot of time to prepare for. So
you are a manly man, because I you know what I you know what, it's funny because a year before that on March 25th, and it's funny how we remember those dates. 15 minutes, and I was scared to death. And at about the 7-minute mark, I was done. I was completely done. So we hung on for the other 8 minutes, and then of course we went to a half hour, an hour, and I never had the guts to do 3 hours. I just didn't have the guts to do 3 hours. So what are you doing? So what's your show now? How do people hear it? All that stuff. Let's get all that out of the way before we start scaring people.
Sure. I am syndicated on a number of different networks, as much as yourself. I'm also on Pundit. You can hear me on Pundit Press, as well as Vigilant Liberty Radio, and a bunch of others, and as well as my own network over on Spreaker. I've moved over to Spreaker.com, and still the Rod Eccles Show, still 2 hours strong, and RodEccles.net is probably the best way in order to figure out what time you can listen to the show in syndication and what time you can listen to it live, which is 7 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday, folks. So, give it a listen. Little shameless plug there.
No. That's why I asked. Did you go ahead and submit your show for iHeartRadio as well?
I think it is currently pending. I know a number of the syndicated networks that either they're pending or they are listed on iHeartRadio. So I'm sure you can probably get us through there, plus iTunes and Twitcher and SoundCloud and a bunch of other places. So
fabulous. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad things are going well. You know what? This is the silly season of election season seems to get sooner and sooner and sooner. And people are taking sides sooner and sooner than I ever remember. You know what? Way back when I was a child, way back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, it seemed like nobody even talked about the presidential elections until that summer beforehand. But now we're in the spring of the year beforehand, and it's almost like it's here. It's almost like we're talking about Christmas, like it's almost here. We still have some candidates to get in the race, but how do you see this picture unfolding?
You're right. It seems like they're pushing the envelope, and frankly, the reason for all of this, folks, is money. I mean, it has become extremely expensive to run a presidential or any national office campaign, be it senator or even a representative, but especially for president, it's become extremely expensive. And one of the persons that we can really thank for really blowing up the cost of running an election is Barack Obama, when he spent nearly $1 billion his first time around. And so we're looking at that as being the norm. And in order for you to raise that kind of money, you've got to get in early. If you do not have huge name recognition and name clout, you've got to get in real early in order to start drawing some of that money your way. So this is the main reason why we're seeing the season come up earlier and earlier. And I don't think this is the end. I think we're gonna start seeing, probably by the year 2020, the 2020 election, we'll probably start seeing them a full 2 years out, because it is going to get that expensive. Now, I know people talk about Citizens United, and that is not the reason why elections have gotten so expensive. There are just so many other reasons for that, including, as we know now, people buying influence, and the queen of buying influence is Hillary. But I don't currently have a favorite candidate on the Republican side, because there's still too many people that have not officially gotten in yet. We might be surprised about who enters and who doesn't enter. So it is. I always tell people, yeah, okay, I'm glad you like, Senator Cruz, and I'm glad you like Senator Paul or Senator Rubio or whoever it is, but you cannot close off listening to the other candidates before you make your final decision. It's way too early. So you have to keep an open mind. And that's where I am right now. I'm listening to everybody, listening to what all they have to say. I can tell you who I'm probably not leaning towards, and it's probably like a lot of people. I'm not leaning towards Jeb Bush, although if he were the nominee, I would vote for Jeb Bush over Hillary Clinton or anybody the Democrats currently have to offer. I understand that Chris Christie, I'm not leaning towards him either, but, we have to wait and see if he gets in and see what he has to say as far as what his policy would be as president. You just have to give people time to explain themselves and listen to what they have to say. And then once you listen to what they have said, you measure it against their record and their actions, and you can decide from there. But you just cannot say right now, Ted Cruz is the only man who can be president. I mean, this is a nation of 330 million people. Obviously, we have more than just one or two people who are qualified.
You know what? I'm so glad you said that, because you've taken, and it's a very dangerous position to take, Rod. I'm gonna have you know, you've taken a reasonable and rational approach to this, and that makes you instantaneously a target. A target not from people from the left necessarily, but from people from our own side sometimes, because you have not said to them that Rand Paul is the only person qualified in this country to be president. And I have had people approach me that way, and I said, so you'll let Hillary Clinton be president of the United States if Rand Paul doesn't win the Republican nomination. And I've said, you are out of your freaking mind. Seriously? Seriously? But that's where some folks are now, and it's a frightening place to be. Somebody who we're all waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're waiting for Scott Walker out of Wisconsin, and I'm a fan of governors just because in my estimation, governors have kind of already done it on a micro scale. They've already dealt with budgets. They've already dealt with with a Senate and a House, and in most places, they've already done it. And I think that gives them a little bit more experience in that sort of executive environment. Is Scott Walker going to get in soon, or is he waiting because it's too hard to stay at number one, and the people who get in early have trouble maintaining it, or is he maybe he's not going to get in at all? What do you think?
Scott Walker, Governor Walker, is kind of an enigma, and he's polling very high already, and he hasn't even said that he's getting in. Mm-hmm. And he has even really, if you actually listen to Governor Walker speak, he hasn't even really hinted that he wants to get in the race. So he's in a very unique position. He's got very strong name recognition right now, simply because of what he's done in Wisconsin and how he's done it. I mean, the man has basically won 3 elections in 4 years, and he's trounced the Democrats and the liberals every single time. And
he's a badass, no doubt.
Yeah. So, and he has also balanced the budget, and I do believe that Wisconsin now is running a surplus for the first time in many, many moons. And he's broken the stranglehold of a very large and powerful union, the SEIU, the educational union, in the state of Wisconsin, which a number of governors have tried before and could not do. But this guy was able to do it. He accomplished that. So he's got huge cred on his side. And if he is going to get in, I'm thinking because of his name cred, he can wait it out a little bit. He doesn't have to jump in right away at this early stage. Again, that is a risk that some of the earlier candidates that have announced are taking because it is quite early, and they run the risk of voter fatigue. I'm tired of listening to Cruz. I'm tired of listening to this person. I'm tired of listening to this person. So they run the risk of doing that, and I think he's being very careful that if his aspirations are that high, that he's not going to get in and run the risk of voter fatigue on his name too soon. But other than that, I would expect him to actually throw his hat in the ring. But there are other people out there, such as Ohio's governor, former Texas governor Rick Perry. I understand is thinking about throwing his hat back in the ring. We've already got Governor Huckabee, who's throwing his hat in the ring. And, again, there's Chris Christie. People are just not sure about him yet. I'm thinking Mr. Christie is not going to enter, but that could be one of the rare instances I'm wrong.
No, you've got confirmation. I don't think Chris Christie is getting in either. And because both you and I think so, which means it's definitely not going to happen. So feel confident. Come on,
Okay.
grow in your confidence, bro. No, I think that ship has sailed. It all started too fast, too soon, and we now know, a lot of people know who Chris Christie is, and I don't hate Chris Christie. He's governor in New Jersey. He's not governor in Texas, and I don't think that you can roll the same way in New Jersey as you roll in Texas or Florida or Georgia or Alabama. It's New Jersey, for goodness sake. So in order to be effective there, and I think he's been effective there, it looks a little different. You gotta play the game a little differently, and he has. Bless you. So. No, I ain't hating Chris Christie, but I get it. I understand. Are you looking at any House races that might be interesting? You know what? I talked to Brad Marston last week, and he mentioned a guy named J.D. Winteregg who is going to primary John Boehner in Ohio, and if Winteregg is successful in any way, that's going to shake up the House a little bit, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think both the Senate and the House have the ability to have some major changes to happen. One of the big coups would be to lose John Boehner, and that, in my book, would not be such a huge loss for the Republicans. That would be a very good thing to actually get somebody who's a true conservative in there. Especially in the leadership of the House. But there are a number of positions that are vulnerable on both sides, and it's really, I don't think we've seen everybody filter out yet, especially on the House side. Because in the House, people usually, they're running elections every 2 years. They have to be elected every 2 years, and they don't usually decide that they're not going to run for re-election until about 9 to 12 months away from the election. So. I think we're still going to see some Republicans and some Democrats drop out, which is going to change the whole dynamic. Now, who that might be, it is really hard to tell at the moment, at least in my book. And I know that there are pundits out there who are predicting this person, and I'm thinking they have done that before, and they have been extremely wrong. And because people are unpredictable. And you never know what the aspirations of some of these people are. I mean, some of them might abandon the seat in the House simply because they see an opportunity arise to take the Senate seat that is either becoming abandoned or they're challenging the incumbent there. So that always happens. So there's a lot of dynamic that still has to play out over the next 6 to 9 months before we get a clearer picture.
That is so true. And I've talked to some people who know some senatorial candidates. I mean, some people who are in the Senate who, and this is not the first time I've heard this, who don't like it, who are just tired of it. I tell you what, when I interviewed Adam Putnam a few years ago, when I first got started here on Blog Talk Radio, I actually talked to him off air, and he was the third highest dude in the party, and told me that he was just tired of it and was ready to come home. I thought, well, that's not the story that you hear on TV. That's not the story that you see in the newspaper. He was just tired of it and was ready to come home, and that's exactly what he did. So you never know about what people's aspirations are, either for a higher office or to get out, and we don't know what drives people. So it ought to be interesting. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of being at Right Online in D.C., and the big conversation there amongst a lot of folks that was happening at the time was what was going on in beautiful Baltimore, and of course right on the tails of Ferguson and some other places around the country. And I had not gotten a chance to hear what you had to say about the goings on in Baltimore. As a matter of fact, the violence is continuing in Baltimore this week, even this past weekend. But I guess because it doesn't have anything to do with the white police officer, nobody cares that there was 29 people shot, 9 of them fatally in Baltimore this weekend. Or there was, I don't know how many people were shot in Chicago, which seems to be the old West. But because some of them involved a white police officer, I guess nobody cares. How do you see the whole Baltimore thing and this whole thing that's going on in these cities?
Baltimore, as with Ferguson, as with Chicago, as with Detroit, as with Washington, D.C., it's all disgusting. It shows the absolute lowest denominator that this country has to offer. They're by far the best that we have to offer. And we can see that this is something that is being fostered and foisted upon us by an elite system that wants to dictate a certain narrative, even if that narrative isn't actually true. Well, we have just learned that a lot of the protesters that started off as protesters in Baltimore after the Freddie Gray verdict, they were being paid, and some of them did not get paid, and they're complaining that they didn't get paid. And quite frankly, the confirmation that they were promised to be paid for going there is the silence from the left organizations that they said promised to pay them. So that right there, whenever the left is silent, because they're never silent about anything, but when they're silent about the truth that is directed towards them like that, you know that they're speaking. Somebody's telling the truth about it.
How awful is that? God, how awful is that?
Because, Willie, they have to try to. The Democrats only have a few things in their playbook. And one of those things is splitting the nation, is just splitting people off. It has to be either they have to split them off racially, ethnically, or they have to split them off economically, or both. But that's their playbook. They can't seem to get it straight that this is one nation. We're supposed to be unified. Dr. Martin Luther King would be horrified at what he's seeing right now. I mean, you thought that the 1940s, 50s, and 60s was divisive. This is way beyond what he probably even dreamed of happening. His dream was togetherness, especially when you have an African, a half-black president in office. You would think that the nation would be a lot closer together, racially speaking, than we have become. I think we have separated even further. And the problem is that we have these people that have this narrative in the inner city. And we have to remember, folks, that these cities are liberal bastions and have been for decades, for generations. Look at Detroit. They want to blame the Republicans in Detroit. Well, the Republicans haven't been in power in Detroit since like 1960. Chicago, they haven't been in power and running the city of Chicago since like 1970. So whose fault is it? How can it possibly be the party who's not in power? How can it be their fault? And the party who is in power, how can it not be their fault? If you're the party in power and you have a black president, why are you're saying race relations are worse today than they were before he was elected?
How was that possible? And I'm a little older than you, Rod. And now, here's what they told black people right before they integrated schools. Here's what they told, that if I sat my fat butt next to a white kid in a school, that I was going to be better educated. That's what they told us, and that's what they sold these communities. And what happened was that the inner city schools that had been predominantly black, and I'll say in the worst of times when racism and bigotry was codified in law, were the most successful. And now that they split up, destroyed black neighborhoods, and sent our kids to hither and yon to sit next to a white kid in the suburbs, more than half our black boys don't graduate from high school. So wasn't that a harbinger of what we see now? We were told that if Barack Obama was president, everything was going to be okay. There'd be rainbows coming out of the butts of unicorns, and we would all sing Kumbaya, and everything would be lovely. When the fact is, there's more racial tension, especially in the big cities, than ever before.
Absolutely, and I think we see this type of thing boil over in places like Ferguson and in Baltimore. Now, the difference with Baltimore is that you have actual people in city government and in state government in Baltimore who are fostering this notion. I mean, we have the prosecutor you don't come out and give a public speech about why you're prosecuting somebody or why you're charging somebody with something. You don't say, well, I heard your call for justice. That's ridiculous. Justice is blind. Justice is also deaf. It doesn't know. It's not supposed to know who's involved. It's just supposed to know about the facts. And the facts are is that most of these charges, there is no possible way that they even come close to meeting the legal standard of the charge themselves. So these cops are not going to be even indicted on a lot of this stuff. Half this stuff is not even going to get to trial. But the reason why, and let's face it, when I heard this, we already heard it once with George Zimmerman. He's a white Latino. And then I heard the term from about a couple of the cops that are black. Oh, no, he's a white-black cop. I'm sorry, do we have a white-black president? Oh, no, we have a black president. No, no, his mom was white.
Yeah, his mom was lily white, as a matter of fact. But this whole idea is just. Am I the only one? Are you and I the only one who can see the ridiculousness of all this? Because this is like if it wasn't real, it'd be like a Saturday Night Live skit. Because none of it has any basis in reality or truth. And it's Dadaism. It's a theater of the absurd. It's crazy that you look at Baltimore. That this is a race issue. Apparently, that's what they tell me. If you listen to the quote news, in a city where 43% of the police force is black, they have a black mayor. They have a black city councilman who's married to the prosecutor who's black too. And this is a race problem. So, really?
It has to be, because that's the only thing those are the only things in their playbook. They don't have genuine ideas that actually work. All their ideas, most of them, the major economic, socioeconomic, they've all been failures. They know this. They cannot win in the arena of strictly ideas. They have to come up with sort of, they have to have victims. In order to have victims, then they can bring themselves off as the champion, as Hillary says. I want to be your champion. Well, how can you be our champion when you've caused the problem in the first place? It's kind of like, back when we had the real estate bubble in the early 2000s. Well, part of the reason that we had that real estate bubble was the banking issues that we had and all those banking regulations that were put in place by people like Chris Dodd and Barney Frank. Yet they were the ones that were going to fix the problem. And we can see that they're ramping up to do exactly the same thing. See, that caused the problem in the first place. They're ramping up these same old programs, and they're putting new names on them and saying, well, no, we're going to be a little bit more careful this time. Look, who do you think you're kidding here? This is the same thing with the race relations. You say time and time and time and time again that we have these race problems, but we're having these same racial problems in these same cities that you have been in control of for 50 years or more. And now you tell us that you're going to fix it? Well, why didn't you fix it before? They don't intend to fix it.
Well, no, because you know what? If you want to be the party of the downtrodden, you must always have downtrodden. If someone tells you that you're going to fight the oppressor, then you will always be oppressed, and that's the deal, and that's the simplicity of it. And I think that, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I think there are voices in a lot of these urban communities that are starting to see a little bit the veils being pulled back a little bit. And I think that too is causing a lot of the real friction. I heard reports out of Ferguson that is exactly what we said. There are people who were there to protest who, first of all, didn't live anywhere near there, who were brought in by bus, who were paid, and you burned our freaking city to the ground, and then you haul ass. What? What?
Yeah.
Seriously? And then who's there now to get back to where at least back to where they were. And all these and all these problems are not racial, and you're right. They're economic situations that liberals and Democrats don't have answers for, because their programs destroy economies and destroy people economically. So they don't have answers for why people are really suffering, because they're actually causing the suffering. It is frustrating. Listen, we're going to take a little break, if that's okay with you, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with more of Rod Eccles. Listen, if you have a question, send me an email at wls860@gmail.com, and I will pass that on, possibly, if it's frankly not a dumbass question. I'll pass that on. We'll be what? Did I say something wrong? Are you saying something wrong?
No.
Okay, just making sure. Make sure I ain't saying that wrong. We'll be right back. Right after these messages.
You have discriminating taste and an eye for the impressive. You need to surround yourself with not only beauty, but quality. That is why you are looking for a new construction home for you and your family. Let the experts at New Homes of Tampa Bay guide you to and through your new home purchase process. With access to hundreds of model homes throughout the Tampa Bay area, New Homes of Tampa Bay is sure to find that perfect match of budget and beauty you are looking for. New Homes of Tampa Bay can save you thousands of dollars while costing you nothing. Call us today before you start your new home search. New Homes of Tampa Bay at 813-770-9452 and at www.newhomestpa.com.
Only in the forest can you see this. And this. And this. But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
I didn't know it could do that!
Because one trip to the forest can spark a world of difference.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go, like hiking, canoeing, fishing, or camping. Or create your own adventure with family and friends, and you might just see this. Your moment's out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is the Willie Lawson Show, a product of Spaceport Productions on the Wacko Network. We'll be back right after these messages. Well, good morning. Are you interested in upping your conservative IQ? To be more solid in your conservative thought? To be able to debate at a higher level? To be able to understand at a higher level what conservatism in America is really all about? Well, I can help you now. Alongside us as partners is a new partner, the RedRiverChronicle.com website. The RedRiverChronicle.com website, whose founder is Kevin Batts, understands what conservatism is all about and understands it in the way they write their articles, their commentary, all the educational material that is on the website, put together in a great way, very easy to navigate. So if you want to up your IQ, go to RedRiverChronicle.com. Welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. This is a show that changes your mind so you can change your community for the better.
All right, we're back. We are back. Our guest today is Rod Eccles with Rod Eccles Show, and again, two dangerous black men, and that's why we're not in the same place, because that means they can't get us both. I don't know. They can't get us both, and I guess that's crazy to say, but speaking truth, because that's the missing ingredient. If you're looking at what's wrong with our country, it's because there is no truth being spoken from the right places, and we're going to talk about in the second half somebody who has been in the public eye, golly, seems like all my adult life. This woman has been in the public eye and has been looked at as this strong, powerful person, and then this poor, terrible, wife that was cheated on and has just sort of been moved along by the leftist culture and now she is standing up as a champion for you and me. And I understand, Rod, that she ain't in no ways tired. God, I'll never forget that as long as I live. I just thought, nobody in that church stood up and said, "What did she say?" Nobody did that, because that's what I'd have done. Your girl, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton seems to be a liberal juggernaut on her way to the Democratic nomination. And I know she's been you've been talking about her on your show for a little bit. How do you see this all playing out? Does she have any real challengers on the Democrat side at all? Elizabeth Warren, Bernie, I'm crazy as hell, Sanders.
No, there's really, they are searching for somebody who would be her, I guess you could say, equivalent. Because I think the Democrats, they've made a mistake in thinking, well, now that we've pushed her up there, we're going to lose. I would be, you know what? I'm going to say this. If Hillary Clinton somehow manages to squeak through, stays out of jail, and wins the presidency, I am going to move to Canada, because it is all over. If this country actually elects that woman, knowing what we know about her, it's beyond me why anybody would still support her. I mean, I've heard the questions. What has she accomplished, either as senator or as secretary of state, that makes her qualified to be president? And every time the question is asked of a liberal, not one single one of them can answer it. Not one. I haven't heard a single answer of what she has done.
Nothing.
But yet,
nothing.
She's the best qualified person to be president. Why? She hasn't done anything to prove herself that way. How is that possible?
Well, Mark Levin says it's because she has a vagina.
Well, it is this notion of celebrity in this country that has just gone way beyond where it possibly ever should have been. And it is now, because we all like these reality shows, who want the singing stars and voice and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, I hate
that. But now, and Dancing with the Stars. But we have elevated, and this started with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was kind of a political superstar of his day. Everybody marveled about how he could do the things that he did, how he could lie and get away with it. Nothing stuck to Bill, even when Bill knew that he was caught in the middle of a lie, he still said it anyway. It's kind of like Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer is probably, I call him the evil elf, because that's what he looks like to me. Chuck Schumer will look you dead in the eye and lie to you. But the point is, and then you can say, well, a lot of politicians do it. Yeah, but Chuck Schumer does it differently, because he'll look you in the eye, tell you a lie, know that he's lying to you, but he'll still tell you the lie and still expect you to believe him. And then he'll give you that evil grin. That's why I call him the evil elf. That's Hillary Clinton now. I mean, she knows she has been caught in lie after lie after lie, but she still expects to be president because she expects you to believe whatever the hell she says.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, really. And you're absolutely right. These people can look at you in the face, and she got a little bit from Bill. Look you right in the face on national TV and said, "I did not have sex with that woman, Miss Lewinsky." Seriously? Yes, you did. And there are people now who still say, "I don't think you had sex with her." Really? Seriously? There was biological evidence that something happened. and that's as gross as that is, and I'm so sorry for those of you who are listening and having lunch. But that's the scariest thing, that these people can just look right at you, know that they're lying, and then move on. move on like ain't nothing happened. It's crazy.
It is the state of celebrity that is exactly, because we can look at, Americans, they elevate celebrities. I mean, for example, Tom Cruise, he proved himself to be a total nut. He was jumping up and down about Katie whatever her name is, on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and everybody's saying what a nutso Tom Cruise is. But yet the man is still one of the top grossing movie stars in Hollywood. Well, how do you support people like that? Because we're interested, it seems like, more in the entertainment value. And when you ask people, well, at least when I talk to people, why don't you hold them accountable? The answer I get more often than not is like, well, what can I do? It doesn't matter. It's still going to be the same thing. Like, it's only the same thing because you allow it to be the same thing. We only have the same people in office because you, the voter, allow the same people to be reelected to office. If you wanted to make some now, and this is sometimes where I get people really upset with me, even on the right. Said, we deserve the government that we elect. If you want change in your government, you cannot elect the same people over and over again. You've got to get rid of them. I mean, you're looking at some people that have been in office for 30, 40 years or more, and you want to tell me you're expecting change out of them?
Yeah, you know what, and you mentioned that. John Boehner comes to mind immediately. When the Republicans took the House over again, there was a lot of celebration. There was much joy in Mudville, and then there was this horrible disappointment, that John Boehner wasn't a Tea Party Republican, and I thought to myself, since when? How do you get the impression? Where did anybody get the impression that John Boehner was a movement conservative? When has he shown that, or at any level, to now that you're disappointed in John Boehner, that John Boehner is not the person that he has been all along? That just blows me away. And what happens in that we keep electing. They keep electing him in Ohio because they like him, I guess, or they keep doing the same thing. I hear from people, and I don't know if this gets me in trouble with you, Rod, about term limits. For me, that's automating the process. I always say, parties are smart enough. These people are smart to figure out how to replace the old person with somebody just like them that comes from the same machine. Because the Constitution and every state constitution has built in term limits already because they hold elections every 2 or 4 years. Term limits are built into the process already. So if the person that you send to your city center or county center or mayor's office or state capitol or DC isn't the person you thought they were, replace their ass the next time.
People make all kinds of excuses why they reelect the same person. Well, I don't have time to vet out this other candidate, or the devil that we know is better than the devil that we don't know. In this day and age, especially, there is no excuse for not being able to vet out your candidate, because you can know just about everything that you probably want to know or need to know about that particular candidate in about 30 to 60 minutes just by looking at them online, and that's all it takes. Just if you're spending all your time watching, American Idol and The Voice, you've got an hour once a week for the next month or so to figure out who would be the proper person to vote for in a particular election that you're going to be voting in. I can't accept these excuses anymore. I'm too busy. Really, when we see that on a national average, the TV watching of the average American is going up. It's increasing, not decreasing. Okay. So why do you not have time to pay attention to the election? We see that the younger set, the amount of time that they're spent gaming is increasing, not decreasing. Again, you're telling me you do not have time to figure out and to learn about what people are going to do once they get in office. And understand, they're going to do things to you that you may not like. So, it behooves you to really understand and get behind the candidate that you really like. And then understand, if your candidate, if he's up for, trying to be nominated and he doesn't get nominated, oh, well, boo-hoo, cry me a river, maybe he'll win next time. But you don't drop out. Because, listen, if you do not vote, then it is exactly like voting for the winner no matter who it is. So all of those Republicans who sat out in 2012, they elected Barack Obama. Plain and simple. I know they'll try to give an excuse as to, no, that's not true. No, it is the absolute truth. You did not vote, so you cast a vote for the winner who happened to be Barack Obama. So are you going to do the same thing again? And if that's the case, then you better be prepared for a President Hillary Clinton. And then what are you going to do? Are you going to blame the Republicans because we got Hillary?
Yep,
this is what they're trying to do now. Yes, they tried to blame getting Barack because we nominated. Geez, he just did a boxing match. I can't believe it.
Mitt Romney. Yeah.
Yes, because they. Okay, so we nominated Romney. He wasn't my first choice either, but. When it came down to it, and I had to walk in that booth and cast my vote, there were two people, prominent people, that had an option, that had a chance of winning. Who was I going to vote for? Well, I voted for Romney. But you stayed at home, so you voted for Obama. Thank you. How is that hope and change working for you?
And you know what? And I coined a phrase that I think is very clever. I think this happened in 2008 too. I think that Republicans got McCained. Now, yes, we found out who John McCain is, but I'm fairly confident. I don't have a reverse crystal ball, but I'm fairly confident there'd be no Affordable Care Act had John McCain been elected president. Am I crazy here to think that?
Absolutely not. There'd be no Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. There'd be no ISIS route in the Middle East going on right now. I mean, things would be a lot different.
Yeah,
I think the economy would be a lot better off.
Even knowing who John McCain is now, even knowing that, things would be a lot different. That is for sure. So, you know what? I knew who John McCain was, and I voted for, and I cast my ballot for John McCain. Not my first choice for sure, and Mitt Romney, not my first choice in 2012. But you know what? Left with the alternative, especially in 2012, when you'd already seen 4 years of Barack Obama, you still somehow decided, screw it, I'll just stay home. That'll show them. Really?
Yeah. You can't hurt somebody else by pounding yourself in the foot. It just isn't going to work.
Yeah, exactly. I'll show them. I'll smash my own head against the wall. Oh, okay, well, let me see. In the words of Dr. Phil, how's that working out for you? And you know what? And the thing is with these people, my question always is, well, how is that strategy working out for you? You tried it in 2008 and 2012. Is it working? And if it's not working, then maybe you should try something else. Maybe try something else. That is, that's the part of all this, Rod, that drives me up the wall. That makes me that some days makes me say, you know what? Let them all go to hell. I'm going to stop talking to you. I'm just going to stop talking to you because you're too obstinate or too stupid to listen to reason. So I'm just going to stop talking to you. It is absolutely crazy. Okay, we've only got a few minutes, and I want people to know, and we mentioned it at the open, but I do want people to know how to listen to you, where you are, your website, all that stuff, because you know what, we're all kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to latch on to your greatness, but I feel like we're all just kind of in this together. We all have different positions, we have, you started here, I'm still here. Kevin Jackson started right here too. And I'll tell you what, I told Kevin this to his face. My show was better than his then. His Blog Talk Radio show was horrendous. However, Kevin's done great things. I love Kevin. Kevin's done great things. So it's important that we support each other. How do people listen to your show and find all your stuff?
Well, they can listen live 7 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday over on Spreaker, the Rod Eccles Show. They can also listen 7 days a week now, from what I understand. They can hear me, and For a while there, it was approaching like almost every 2 hours you could hear me, which was kind of surreal a little bit.
Like
but
like a loopy program.
Yeah.
Like I love loopy.
But you could, they can go over to rodeccles.com and check out the page. There's a dedicated page to all the stations that I'm syndicated on, as well as a page that links to most of the sites that publish my articles. I don't know. I have a wonderful agent who keeps going out there and garnering stuff. Publications that are willing to print my articles, and that's kind of flattering because I know Clash Daily and CNS News has jumped on board and started publishing my articles. I understand that she's working with WND.com to publish them, and that they're huge. So I'm kind of at this point where I'm in a surreal type of position. Like, I've been doing this since 2009. I never really expected it to take off like this at any time. I just thought I'd be, one of those guys on BTR that garnered a few hundred listeners, every show, and that would be it. But now it has just blown up towards thousands, and I'm really shocked and surprised and humbled by it. And now I'm this summer I'll be going out on a speaking tour, so I might be coming to a city near you. I know I'll be in New Hampshire next month. I'll be in Pennsylvania in July. I'll be back in Pennsylvania, possibly Virginia and Texas in August, maybe Ohio, I guess, in September, and a bunch of other places in between. So we'll just see where it goes.
Well, cool. I hope you make it down to the Sunshine State. If you do, let me know, and I'll be there. That's for sure. We'll make this happen for sure. Well, super duper. Listen, Rod. Thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it. I appreciate your viewpoint. I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate how you do it, because that's as important as anything. I think in order to get our message across to the people who really need to hear it and are looking for it, it's important how we do it. I think that there are people out there who are saying the right things, but saying them in such inappropriate ways that they're missing the mark and not getting the effect. They're not as effective as they could be. You know what? I count you amongst the folks who are out there doing this the right way, saying things in the right way. That you indeed, sir, are being effective, and that's the most important thing. And I am honored that you would spend a little time with us here on Blog Talk Radio on the Willie Lawson Show.
It has been an honor to spend time with you, sir. And I just want people to know that I'm just a man that's having a love affair with this country. I absolutely love this country, and I hope they can see, feel, and hear the passion in my voice when I'm talking about the United States of America. There is no other place, folks. There isn't.
Not like this is it. This is the last hope for freedom in the world. That is the truth. All right, sir. Well, thank you so much for coming, and we will. You and I will talk later, especially if you're going to get to the South, get here to the dirty South anytime in the next year. I'd like to be there for sure. All right, sir.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Rod. Have a fantastic rest of the day, and again, thank you, and we will talk soon. All right, that's Rod Eccles of the Rod Eccles Show on the Willie Lawson Show today. It has been a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous time. We're excited about Rod coming on, and we will have somebody spectacular and amazing on at least once a week in the coming future. Listen, we've got I don't know, I think if you're on hold, I didn't pick up because you had not pressed the number 1 button to let me know that you wanted to be heard, or maybe you're just listening. And if you're just listening, I had a call from California that's just listening, and that's fine. You may do that, but we're going to take a little break, and we'll be back to finish up and let you know what's going on for the rest of the week here on the Willie Lawson Show, and give you an idea what's going on with me and the campaign, all that kind of stuff. So in the meantime, we'll be back right after these messages. Welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. This is a show that changes your mind so you can change your community for the better. You have discriminating taste and an eye for the impressive. You need to surround yourself with not only beauty,
but quality. That is why you are looking for a new construction home for you and your family. Let the experts at New Homes of Tampa Bay guide you to and through your new home purchase process. With access to hundreds of model homes throughout the Tampa Bay area, New Homes of Tampa Bay is sure to find that perfect match of budget and beauty you are looking for. New Homes of Tampa Bay can save you thousands of dollars while costing you nothing. Call us today before you start your new home search. New Homes of Tampa Bay at 813-770-9452 and at www.newhomestpa.com. Welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. This is a show that changes your mind so you can change your community for the better. All right, we've got just about 4 minutes to go, and we did have a caller from the lovely drought-infested state of California. Caller, thanks for calling. I'm sorry I didn't get to you sooner. What can we do for you this glorious afternoon?
Well, Willie, how are you? I'm probably the only progressive that has called your show, but
no, you're not.
I heard your show, and it was interesting. And I know we got short. My name is Lee, by the way, and here's what I would like to say in this brief time that we have left. I totally get the commentary about Hillary and all these scandalous accusations that have been brought against her, but I do think the argument that she hasn't done anything, respectfully, is a weak argument, because if you look at any of the nominees, we'll just say on the Republican side, what has Ben Carson done, for example? Now, I know he's not a front runner, but, even Ted Cruz, if you look at his career, if you look at others like John McCain, yes, he was a long-term senator, but do we really want a Sarah Palin second in charge of this great country of ours? So
Sarah Palin's not running.
Well, she was when McCain ran as a presidential nominee. And
Sarah Palin was the governor of a state.
She was the vice president nominee.
And she was the governor.
If you're voting for John McCain, yes. And so what did Sarah Palin do?
She was governor of Alaska.
And how is that a significant preparation for vice president of the United States?
A governor, and if you've been listening for a while, so governors, in my opinion, and we only got 2 minutes, I'll try to talk as quickly as possible. Governors have almost kind of done the job, seeing that they were the chief executive of the state that they were governors in, which means that they've already dealt with putting a budget together. They've already dealt with, in most states, a House and a Senate. They've already done it on a micro level. So that gives them, in my opinion, a leg up on senators and people in House of Representatives, and especially on guys who were CEOs of companies like Herman Cain last year and Dr. Carson this year. I've said on this show, I think that I like Dr. Carson, but I think he's an amateur. I think he's going to have amateur people around him. And I love his story. And I love him as a man.
Success.
Oh, yes. But you know what, and I don't disagree with you in that sense, but there are other people in this particular race this time, and Sarah Palin is not one of them.
No,
as far as we know.
Understand that. But my point is, when you start talking about, as Carly Fiorina has been pretty adamant against Hillary, when you start talking about preparation and the examples you cited, there's good governors, there's bad governors, and I'm not sure. I totally agree that, being in charge of a state legislature does give you some experience. Does being in charge, and I just use Sarah Palin as an example, is Mike Pence an effective governor? Is Sam Brownback an effective governor? There's bad governors, there's good governors. I don't think that's a blueprint for being the president of the United States, just like I don't think you can discount the Secretary of State and all the miles that Hillary racked up as being non-existent, or say that being First Lady doesn't give you some experience as well. So
First Lady doesn't give you any real experience. That's not an elected office. You just happen to be married to the dude. That doesn't give you. That's a scary place to go.
and we'll go there tomorrow. Listen,
Sure.
Levi, thanks for calling. We got to get out of here. The lady said,
Later on,
it's
Willie.
only
Thank
10
you
seconds.
for
Later on,
taking
man.
my call,
Thanks
man.
so much. I appreciate it.
Later.
Call again, and we'll continue the conversation. All right, we're out of here. Thanks for calling the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Good morning. My name is Willie Lawson, and this is the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio.